Salvation is only the first step. So now that you have fire insurance, what's next? Right? Because we have to go with the cause of Christ. So it's the cause of the believer where we have to get that mind renewal. Y'all with me there? Okay, and then there's character in the believer. As believers, we have to have character. We cannot be like the world. Did you get that? Amen. We cannot, I should not look like the world. I should not smell like the world. My actions should not be like the world. There should be a clear difference in my character. Right. Proverbs, you there? Amen. Chapter 10, verse 9, it says, he that walketh uprightly walketh surely, but he that perverteth his ways shall be known. So in other words, when you do crazy stuff, it's gonna come out. You do something dumb, it's gonna come out. Okay, the Amplified, it says, he who walks in integrity and with moral character walks securely, but he who takes a crooked way will be discovered and punished. Discovered and punished. So our example of character should be respected, and it should be something that's desired. Here is the challenge with that. When people are not used to seeing someone with character, they will persecute you. However, on the other side of it, they'll respect you. Did you get that? So in other words, so if people around you have never seen someone with character, you're going to be the one that shows that example. Here is the challenge with being a trendsetter, because that causes you to be a trendsetter, right? The challenge with being a trendsetter is he who goes through the wall first gets the bloodiest. So in other words, you're going to push through something that other people refuse to do. You may get bloody in the process, but I'll tell you, not only will you come out of that process on top, but you'll be respected after the fact. Yes, they're going to talk about you, but wait until they see the end result. Did you get that? In my closing moments, the story is told about an aging king who woke up one day and he realized that if he dropped dead, he would have no heir in the royal family to take over the palace. And so he was getting up in age and he knew he had to make some decisions. So he decided that since he had no possibility of an heir being born, that he would adopt a son that could take his place. But he was determined that the adopted son had to be exceptional. He had to be extraordinary. So what he did was he launched a competition in the kingdom open to all boys, no matter what their background was. Is that not amazing? Amen. And so he came out with the 10 boys who had made it to the very top. Now, there was little to separate these boys in terms of their intelligence or their physical capabilities or their physical attributes, but the king said to them, I have one last test that I need you to go through. He said, and whoever comes out on top, they're going to become my adopted son, and they'll be heir to the throne. And so he tells the top 10, he says, now this kingdom depends solely on agriculture. So I need to know that as the king, you'll be able to cultivate plants. So here he is, he gives each of them a seed of corn, and he says, I'm going to give each of you this seed of corn, and I need you to take it home, I need you to plant it, and then I need you to nurture it for 3 weeks and come back and let me see. So at the end of 3 weeks, we'll see who has done the best. And if you've cultivated the seed, he said, whoever's done it the best, that person is going to be my heir apparent. So the boys took the seeds home, and they hurried home, and they each got a flower pot, and they planted the seed, and they started to take care of it. And there was much excitement in the kingdom about this whole thing. And people were waiting with bated breath to see what would happen in these last 3 weeks and to see who would be their next king. So in one home, though, there was this little boy, and his parents, not only his parents, but him, they were heartbroken because after days of intensive care, this little boy's seed failed to sprout. So he didn't know what had gone wrong, and he had selected the soil carefully, and he had made sure that he had the right fertilizer, and he had dutifully watched over it and tried to do things at the right intervals to make sure that it at least sprouted. He watched it day and night, and it never happened. And so some of his friends was telling him, why don't you just go out and buy a seed at the market and just plant it? Let's just do that. After all, they said, how can anyone tell that it's a different corn? They won't know. It's just going to be a seed, and when it sprouts up, they won't know the difference. So he went and he talked to his parents, and his parents said, no, I don't think we should do that. We've always taught you the value of integrity. And they reminded him that the king didn't want him to plant any old corn. He gave him that particular seed. And they said, if he wanted you to plant a different seed, he would have told you to go and get a different seed, but he gave you one in particular. So maybe we are just not destined for the throne. Maybe you're not supposed to be the king. So if so, let's let it be found out that you maintained your integrity and that you did not deceive the king. So the day came when they all were bringing their seeds back, and the boys came and returned proudly to the palace with all of their seeds. And it was obvious that the 9 other boys had had great success with their seeds. And the king began making his way down the line, talking to each of the eager boys and asking them, is this what came out of the seed that I gave you? And each of the boys responded, yes, your majesty, this is the seed you gave us. And the king would nod and move down the line. So he gets down the line to the very last boy. At that 10th boy, he was shaking in his boots because he gonna put me in prison because I squandered the seed that he gave me. He said, what did you do with the seed that I gave you? He said, I planted it and I cared for it diligently, sir. He said, but it failed to sprout. And so the boy, he's teared up, and the crowds were booing him because remember, the crowd was all excited. Y'all remember that? And so the king raised his hand and he silenced everybody that was booing the little boy, and he said, my people, behold, here is your next king. Why? Why is he the one that's the next king? Why is he the right choice? The king said, because I gave all these boys boiled seeds. So here's the moral of that story. The moral of the story is, he said, after he said that, he said, the one thing I knew I needed was a king that would not be dishonest. I need a king that will stand even when things seem tough, and even when there's an opportunity for them to never even find out that their integrity can be questioned. He said, and I submit to the kingdom that boiled seeds can never sprout. That's right. So you may be able to get away with something, but just like in Proverbs 10:9, be sure it will be discovered. And I would submit to you that your character is much more important than the values and the opinions and the naysayers that will speak against you, because he who goes through the wall first gets the bloodiest. But will you trust God enough to stand in character and be able to hold your course no matter what? There's something that we have to do. We have to renew our minds so that we can experience transformation.